The things that you don't want to talk about on YouTube are the same things that will actually blow up your YouTube channel. Okay. Now, what am I talking about here? I'm just basically saying, I don't know, like your deepest, darkest secrets, maybe? No, not to be funny, but it is something along those lines, though. The things that you probably are a little bit too embarrassed to share, or the things that are um, not comfortable to talk about, like say maybe your finances, for example, especially if especially if you're not, if they're not doing so great, all right? And why is that? Because these are the same things that the masses, the overwhelming, sadly, but the overwhelming majority of people can relate to. Okay, so there is this push out there from YouTube's end, right? Pushing smaller creators, just regular everyday people like you and I who aren't doing anything crazy or fancy, just small creators who are just whipping out their phones and starting to create content, right? And you know, a lot of the ones that I'm seeing blown up right now are the ones that are discussing a lot of these things that people typically might not want to talk about, right? But the reason I think that they're blown up is, again, because a lot of people can relate to this stuff, right? And it's not stuff that is necessarily the most comfortable or most, it's not like your proudest moment to be sharing some of these things, okay? But funny enough, you're not the only one that's struggling with those things, and there are so many others out there who can, they want to share that pain. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of like a sad way to put it, but it kind of relates to that saying that misery loves company, right? It sounds kind of harsh, but that's just the truth. That's the dynamic that's working behind that, right? Misery loves company. People talking about like their struggles and how they're not doing well financially, or how they wish they could be making more money, or how things are so tough, or how they're working a job that is not paying them enough, right? And like the daily head butting their heads with like some annoying coworkers or your bosses, all that type of stuff. Just regular everyday stuff that we can all relate to, right? That is the stuff that is actually, I don't know, for lack of a better way to put it, that's the stuff that's hot right now on YouTube. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of channels or a lot of people who are just new, brand new to YouTube and all that, and they are coming and their channels are just taking off, blowing up, surpassing those who have been on here for years and all that type stuff, right? But it's just, it's just one of those things, right? It might be, so that's one side of it. Then there's the other side of like, okay, like maybe these are the things that are actually doing really well right now on YouTube. Sorry, I had to pause there. I had something that was really stretching, or really, sorry, itching my throat, and I had to cough big time. So I didn't want to, I don't want to bore you guys, or not bore you. I don't want to scare you with, or gross you out. Actually, more than anything, I disgust you with like hacking and coughing all over YouTube. But anyway, where was I? What was I even saying? Do I even remember? But anyway, it was just something along the lines of, those topics or those things that I discussed right there, that you might not want to talk about for the reason that maybe it's too embarrassing to talk about. Like there's that component, right? That's the stuff that will actually blow up your channel. But then on the flip side, there are things that you might not necessarily want to talk about because you're not interested in them, right? And you would much rather cover certain topics that are more interest to you, which is perfectly fine. You can do that, right? You can do that, but if it's a topic that's not necessarily trending or as interesting to a lot of people, your growth is going to be a lot slower, okay? And that's fine, right? At the end of the day, the people that that the people that end up subscribing to you, those are going to be your people, right? The people, like-minded individuals who are interested in the same type of stuff, right? But if you want to go after the low-hanging fruit, and you know, like, and just and talk about the things that are trending, and if it's not necessarily stuff that aligns with your channel or stuff that you're interested or that you want to be talking about, that is like, that is kind of like a little hack or a little cheat code to grow your subscribers exponentially, right? Like really quickly, in essence. But are those going to be your real true subscribers, for the stuff that you really want to be talking about? I'm not so sure. Okay, so that's just basically going to be something for you to that's something for you to consider, right? Now, what are some examples? I mean, I talked about the things that I did before, but let me give you another example of stuff that I consider like really easy, like low hanging fruit, right? Anything that involves talking about like, just like getting on YouTube, right? It seems like anything that encourages or that promotes the use of YouTube and people getting on YouTube to start their channels and stuff like that, that seems to be stuff that tends to blow up, right? I've seen it even on my channel, right? Even if that's not necessarily content or the stuff that I want to be talking about, I've noticed that some of my better performing videos tend to be the ones that involve me, you know, talking about YouTube, or content creation and getting started with YouTube, getting a channel started, or the reasons is, X number of reasons to start your YouTube channel, right? Those type of videos. And then another one, like, like YouTube being on easy mode for everybody to get going, even though that's not something that I necessarily agree with. um, the way I use that is, yeah, I'll discuss it as part of my title, whatever, but I will be talking about the other side of it, why I don't necessarily feel like it's in easy mode. But funny enough, right, even though I do that, those videos of mine somehow, I don't want to say they've been suppressed, but they're actually not doing as well, right? Because I'm not necessarily pushing the narrative that, that YouTube is on easy mode per se, right? I'm not necessarily on that bandwagon. Just basically saying what I believe to be the case for most people, right? The people who are just having that kind of success and experiencing YouTube on easy mode, quote unquote easy mode. I think such people are in the minority. Okay, I think those people are in the minority. But anyway, that's all besides the point, I guess. But um, if you want your channel to start growing a little quicker than it is right now, like I'm experiencing right now, but it's just that maybe I'm a little bit, a little bit stubborn in the sense that I don't necessarily want to talk about a lot of these low hanging fruit things, because they don't necessarily they don't necessarily relate to the stuff that I would like to more specifically talk about, right? And I don't want to end up in a scenario where I have all these subscribers who eventually are not going to be active, right? They're not going to be engaging, right? Because the reason they subscribe is not the reason that they subscribed is not what I'm talking about on a regular basis on my channel, right? And it's not what they want to hear. So they're eventually just either going to be inactive or end up unsubscribing. So that's just something for you to consider. But anyway, if you're wondering what it is that I like talking about my channel, well, it is creating and selling digital products or promoting other people's digital products. If you want to get started with that, check out the first link in the description below in this video. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below and I will be sure to answer. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.